Okay. Actually, I found that there is no difference between the capital S and small s.
Yeah, there is no difference. Small string with small s is an alias to string with capital S. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is how our Visual Studio looks like. Okay, and we will create a new project, and here we will go for the console app, and you clearly see that it is in C sharp and in Windows. Okay. Mm, so like if suppose my name is Abhijit, that is my name, uh, you can say that uh, just a minute. This is how your projects look like, your console app.
Mm.
Okay. Now suppose if my name is Abhijit, which is my name, so you can call me Abhijit with capital A, and you can call with Abhijit with small a. There's no difference between the two.
Mm.
Okay. Likewise, there is no difference between the string with capital S and string with small s. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. And so on the first day, we have covered how to install Visual Studio. Have you installed Visual Studio?
Yes, sir. For our project, we are using enterprise one.
Uh, okay. Okay. You are using Enterprise. Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's a good one. Okay. And we also saw why Selenium is used, why there is need of an unit. Okay. So now let's move to some more advanced topics like loops, arrays, and function.
Mm.
And as we proceed, we will also discuss that why we need to study these topics, and while study Selenium, where are we using these concepts? Okay, now moving to our first topic, which is concatenation operator. Okay, now if I say string x equal to Selenium and string y equal to training, and we say that console.writeLine x plus y. So when we uh, execute our project or run our code, you will see that Selenium training is in single line. And one thing more which I have forgotten, that I have to write console.read key. Okay. Now plus sign is the concatenation operator. It is used for concatenation the strings.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
It will print Selenium training in single line, as Selenium and training are two different variables, but it is being printed in one single line because we are concatenating the two strings. Now,
Yes, sir.
now if we take uh, int a equal to 200 and int b equal to, let's say, 300, and if I say a plus b, and if I run my project or run my code again, you see it is printing 500. So it adds up directly.
Mm. So,
Okay. Now, suppose if I write uh, console dot write line a plus b plus x plus y. Okay. And one more thing I can say console dot write line, and here I say x plus y plus a plus b. Okay. Now, if I execute my code again, now the bottom two lines, it is printing 500 Selenium training.
mm.
Why it is so? Can you tell me?
uh, okay, fine. So at the last line, it is printing separately, right? 200 and
Yeah,
three
yeah,
hundred.
yeah. It is printing 200 Selenium separately, but in the first line, it is printing 500.
Okay, because it is concatenating with the string. That's why maybe.
Okay, so let us see into that. We will take uh, in the first line of code. Now, one thing to remember in brackets, you starts from left to right. First, it go for the left, then it
Mm.
go for the right. In the
Yes, so.
brackets, when there this bracket opening and this bracket closed, in this particular area, the calculations done from left to right. Now first it looks for a plus b. Now a plus b is 300. Now this both act as integers. Okay, so it adds directly. So
Okay.
you can say that when it is say a plus b plus x plus y. Okay, a plus b plus x plus y. Now, when calculation starts from left to right, then it looks first for a plus b. Now, a is 200 and b is
Yeah.
300. It adds directly. Now, when 500 plus x, which is, you can say, selenium. Now, selenium is in string and 500 is in integer. So, this will automatically convert into string and act as a string. That's why it is connecting with selenium,
Mm.
which is 500 selenium, and then it will conconnect with y, which is training. So 500 selenium training. But in the second line, which is x plus y plus a plus b, now the x plus y plus a, sorry, plus b. Now x plus y here, both are strings. X and Y both act as a string. So it will first print Selenium training, this part.
Mm.
But when it concatenates with A, which is 200, now it is integer and Selenium training is in string. So integer value will automatically convert into string. So it is Selenium training 200, then Selenium training 200 concatenates with B, which
Hello. Hello.
with this. So Selenium Training 200, 300. Okay. Now, if we write, suppose I will write console dot write line, and I will type x plus y, x plus y plus a plus b. Now, can you tell me that what is going to happen now? Hello?
Hello.
Yeah,
Yes.
uh, yeah, I'm
Selenium
audible.
training. Yes, sir, you are audible. I was on mute.
Yeah, okay, okay,
Selenium training 500 it will print, sir.
okay. Why is that so?
Because it is in brackets, right? So the A plus B will add because of the same data type.
Okay, okay, yeah, you are right. So first it will solve this bracket, then it will solve this bracket, then after that it will concatenate with
Print.
each other.
Yes, sir.
So it will come out to be Selenium training. Okay, Selenium training 500, which is correct. Okay, so you need to put the values in the integer values in the bracket, so you might get errors
Mm.
in your script as well while working with the Selenium, and you might get confused. So you have to be very careful while using the strings and can say uh, integers.
Yes,
While
sir.
using the concatenation operator, it never adds up directly, especially with the case of strings. Okay, so till now, everything we have discussed so far is present in every programming language, whether it is C Sharp, PHP, Java, or Python. The concept remains the same for every programming language. That how you
Yes, sir.
declare the variables. So now let's move forward to the concept of loops. Okay, so we will take an example of while loop first. Okay, we will make a new class. Can say add new class and name it as, can say, while study. Okay, and add my main method. Okay, now I will say int I equal to 0 and say while I is less than 10, and I will say console dot write line, and I say I equal to I plus 1. Okay, and in the end I will print console dot read key. Okay, now what I am doing is I am initializing here and giving my condition here, and here I'm doing the incrementation. Now, when I execute my code, okay, so there are two main methods. We have two files. For that, you click on our project and go for the properties, and startup object. In startup object, I will choose my class as startup class, then close this and again execute my code. Now you see it is printing 0, 1, 2, 3 till 9. So can you tell me why it is not printing 10? Yeah, hello.
Sorry. Hello.
Yeah, yeah. Can you
Yes, sir.
tell me? Can you tell me why it is not printing 10?
Yes, sir. Because of the condition, sir, it is I is less than 10, right? It is not given to equal. Equal is
So
not given.
okay, so if I want to print 10, so what will I do?
Equals to, you can add
Add
condition.
equals to. Okay, that's okay. Okay, you know about this. Okay, now if you can see, I already told you that you can apply breakpoint here and look for your condition that what is it is going to be. Now, if I execute my code, now it will stop here, and if I press now I is here 0, so it will print first I 0, then it will increment the I by 1. Okay, same way you can check that whether what is going on your code by applying the breakpoint.
F10.
Yeah,
Yes.
applying
So
the.
how to add the breakpoint at the particular thing? Where to add?
You want to add, suppose if I want to line add on this line, I will just click on this and go to this line and put click, you can say left click. I'm just clicking on it. I can apply as much breakpoints as I want.
Okay, so left click on left.
Yeah, simple click, the mouse click you can say. Simple, which left click, you doing the left click there by if I do the right click, then it will look like this. If I left click, then
Okay.
you have to click on this line, this on particular area.
Okay. Okay. So
Okay, and you can watch by pressing F10 line
yes,
by
sir.
line. And suppose here, if I put another breakpoint here and execute my code, now it stops here. If I want to watch line by line, I can press F10. Okay, if I want to go to the next breakpoint, I can simply press F5. It will go directly to the that next breakpoint.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So so is there
Yeah.
any conditions to put like to the breakpoint or wherever we want we
Yeah.
can?
Wherever you want, you can put it. You can put as much as breakpoints as you want. This is
Okay.
just a small code. This is just like 4 to 5 lines of code. Sometimes what happens when you make a function, different functions, you get a code of line, you can say 500 lines, 600 lines, and you get
Mm.
confused where to put breakpoints.
Yes. So
So you can put breakpoints as many as you can as you want. I want to suppose here, 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 here. I
yes. So
I can put as much breakpoints as I want. Just go to this particular area and left click.
okay. Okay. So yeah.
Okay. Now suppose if we want to print the numbers in reverse order, what can I do? I can say I is less and equal to 10, and while I is greater than 0, and I can say minus minus. Now, if I execute my code again, now you see it prints in the reverse order.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is how we write the while loop. Okay,
Mm.
now if we go for the for loop, suppose for int y equal to 0, y is less than, you can say, 10, and y plus plus. And here I will type console.writeLine y, and I will comment this one. Suppose if I say y is less than 15. Okay, so now if I execute my code, now you see it prints till 14. Okay, now which one is better in your opinion? Which one is better?
So I so for loop is only better.
Yeah,
Uh,
for loop is better because suppose if I comment this and uncomment this one, and suppose if I forgot to give the incrementation, so and if I run my code, you see it will go into the infinite loop. It will print 10 for infinity.
yes,
It
yes, sir.
it will not give me any error. It will not give me any error.
Yeah.
But if suppose if I, you can say, here I forgot to increment, so it will give an error. Suppose if I run my code, it will give me error.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in some condition, for loop is better, but in some conditions, while loop is
Yeah.
better. So here you see that uh, I'm in while loop. If the condition is true, suppose I put my breakpoint here, and you can say if I now here you see that I is 10 and I is greater than 0. So if I say, so while while loop will always run when the condition is true. It will always run when the condition is true. Okay. Now suppose if I want to print the sum of first 100 numbers. Suppose I want to print the sum of first 100 numbers. So how can I do that? If you have some knowledge, you can share it with me.
Okay, first sum of first 100 numbers, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, let me think. I- So you can print uh in a while using this while loop.
While loop. I can use it while loop.
Yes, sir. Think.
How can I do that?
So I is greater than 100.
I is greater than 100. It will be
Initially five.
it will be, I think so, is less than 100 because I want
Yes,
to
yes, I guess
I
so.
wa-
I is less than 100.
yeah.
Okay.
and
And initially I is equal to 0
okay,
and I equal to I plus 1. No, 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 sir. This is not the kind.
you have to put the value of I in, I think so, some variable, maybe.
Yes, sir. You can, we can declare sum
Uh,
as a variable.
yeah, suppose int sum
Sum.
equal to 0. Okay,
Uh, sum equal to I plus sum.
you can say sum equal to
I plus sum.
I
I.
plus sum. Okay, and here I will print console dot write line sum. Suppose uh, if we execute our code, what will it give? It is not giving anything. Suppose if I print console dot write line sum is, now if I execute my code again,
Mhm.
so why it is not running?
Oh, maybe the logic is
Now here I
not
said,
correct.
here I said incrementation. Have you incremented the I?
Okay. Yes, sir. Not.
Okay. So if I say I equal to I plus 1. Okay. Now if I execute my code again, now sum is 4950. But I want to print the sum of first 100 numbers. So I will here less than equal to, and can say again execute my code. Now sum is 5050, which is right.
Yes.
Okay. So you have to be very careful in your while loop. You have here
Oh, yes.
uh, you have to give the incrementation as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So for these types of things, we will, you can say, use for loop. It is better for these types of conditions. Suppose if I uh, now here I will say equal to 100 and say sum equal to sum plus y. So if I execute my code again, you see sum is 5050, which
Yes.
is correct. So in these types of condition, we will always use for loop. So the question is that where we use for loop in Selenium. Suppose you have an Excel file, you can say you have an Excel file where you have cells. Now these are some cells. Your Excel looks like these are, you can say, rows and columns, and you have uh, first row as some username is there, username. Then you have password. Then you have email. Then you have something like zip code, and here you have the values like something like this, and at the red Gmail password is something like this, and at the Gmail, and here you have some zip code. So you have to iterate through entire Excel sheet. So here we can use the for loop. For loop is very much helpful in iterating through Excel sheet, whole Excel sheet. Okay, where we here we use for loop. Okay, we count the number
Mm.
of rows and then number of columns. Then we use the for loop for, suppose the rows number of rows are 50. We say for I equal to less than equal to 50. Then we iterate through our Excel sheet. Then iterate through our columns, each and every cell. I mean, okay. So here for loop is very much better. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now moving to the next topic, which is arrays. Okay. Now you are getting my points now. If you don't get anything, just stop me. I will explain it to you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I'm getting.
Okay. Now moving to next topic is array study. And one thing, it's a very small thing, but it's a very main thing. Never name your class. Like if I want to suppose name my class an array, never do this. It will give you an error. An error is like something that you can't even find out that it is because of your class name. So,
Yes, sir.
n- okay, and add something like I am putting array study, something like this.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay, then add my main method. Okay, now suppose you have something like string username equal to, can say anything, then string password equal to, say, password, and then string email equal to mail at the rate gmail.com, and you have string, you have zip, if I say int zip code, and I will say something like this. Okay, now sometimes you have a lot of data. This is a little bit of data. Suppose you got 100 fields. Okay, for this we use array. Array is basically a memory location where you can store multiple values. Okay, so the same way you can, which I have presented to you, you can use it to well, again do the now what is array? Now array is a memory location where you can store multiple values. Okay, now here if I say the same way, this is I can write that username, then I have my password, then I have my email, then I have my zip code. Okay, now array is something like this. You can store multiple values. You can give here uh, you can give here username, something like this. Then you have password, then you have email, then you have zip code. Again, there is some another username, another password, another email, and another zip code. Am I audible to you, na?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yeah, actually, I think so. I pressed some key. So this is how you can store multiple values. In the future, we will read data from Excel and put it in arrays. Okay, so you can how to declare an array. You can say string equal x equal to new string, and I will say 3 comma 4. So this is how you declare an array. So 3 is the number of rows and 4 is the number of columns. This is how you represent an array. So for suppose if I want to get the length of my, you can say row length, so I can get it by console dot write line x dot get length and say 0, because it's in the zeroth, you can say zeroth dimension or 0 dimension. So I can get the number of rows, and same way I can get the number of columns by getting 1. So here get the number of rows, and here get the number of columns. Okay, okay. Now here I can use my for loop for iterating through, you can say array like for int h is less than 0 and h is sorry h equal to 0 and h is less than, you can say, x dot get length and h plus plus. Okay, and this way I can iterate through rows and inside, and now I will iterate through columns for int y equal to 0, y is less than, I can say, and y plus plus, and here I can write as console dot write line x h comma y. So this is how I can iterate through my array. First, what I'm doing in my for loop, first I'm going row wise. First, I will going down, then I will move to my left to right. Then it will print first this, then this, then this, then this, then this. Okay, this is how we can iterate through our array. Till now, you understand this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is how my array look like. Now, there is drawback in this array. Can you tell me what is the drawback of using this type of array?
Uh, so which type of array? I'm not getting.
This is a declaration of array. There is a
Yes, sir.
drawback. There is a drawback of using this type of array.
Okay. Uh, okay.
You are
So
using,
because it is string,
pardon?
string is the keyword. String, we are using string,
Oh,
and it is the object.
I can use it like here I int and I will declare it as a int.
Okay. Okay. Because it is used in as an object creation.
Now, the major
Mm.
drawback is string array cannot hold integer values and vice versa. Means integer array cannot hold string value.
Okay. Yes.
This is a major point, that string array cannot hold
Whole.
integer values and vice versa. This is
Mm.
again good interview question that interview can ask you, can I pass any string value to string
Mm.
any integer value to string array? The answer is no. You cannot pass integer value to an string array. Okay.
Okay. Mm.
For this,
Yes.
we use something like object array. Okay. Now, how to declare an object array? Can say object data equal to new object, and here we give the number of rows. Object array is an inbuilt class inside C Sharp. We will study it in detail. If I say hover it, it says class system dot object. So it is an inbuilt class inside C sharp. We will study it in detail as we move in on, with our course. When we actually read the data from Excel file in Selenium scripts, right now, just remember that there is an object array, which is an inbuilt class inside the C sharp, which will hold all the data types. It can hold integer, it can hold string, it can hold double, it can hold char, it can hold any data type. Right now, you just need to remember that object array is an inbuilt class which can hold all the data types. Again,
Yes,
I
sir.
will hold all the data types. So right now, if interview can ask you that what this number means. So this means the number of rows.
Mm.
Okay. Again, I'm writing that 3 represents the number of rows.
Okay.
Okay. And suppose we will give the number of columns when we actually give it the data. But right now, you just need to remember that if there is an string array, there you cannot it cannot hold integer values. For that, we have object array, and object array is an inbuilt class which can hold all the data types, and only number of rows are declared when you declare the object array. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So uh, right now, so now move ahead is you can say uh, function. Okay. And I will again make a new class, and then I will say function study. Okay. And again, so can you tell me what is the definition of function?
Mm.
It's a very basic interview question that interview can ask you.
Yes, so I forgot, like,
It's
I'm
a
not
very,
remembering. Mm.
you can say function is a small unit of execution. This is a small definition. Function is a small unit of execution. Okay. Now this is function private, static, void, main, and the scope
Okay.
of
So is method and function are same?
no. There's a little bit difference between function and method. It's a very confusing question. That function, uh, I will tell you, but there is a suppose if I this is a very good question you have asked. Suppose and if I'm a developer, I will is function and method same. So you can see if you can say the method is associated with an object. This is a basic, while function is
No.
not. In both is a set of instruction. Method like a function, it's the same part, but method is associated with an object while function is not. You will get to know when we will do some functions. Okay.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
okay. Now, what what do you mean by the scope of what is the scope of this function? If I ask you what is the scope of this function, what is scope of function means?
Uh, so can you repeat the question, please? I
What
didn't
is the
get.
scope? Uh, yeah. If I say, what is the scope of this function? What I mean by that? What is the scope of this function?
So function is a very important thing to execute our program
No, no,
coding.
no. You don't understand my function question. Suppose I will declare one more, say, public static void test. Okay. Now, by scope, I means this function has a scope inside these curly brackets. This is the scope of this function.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and the scope of these functions, scope means you can say you can say ARM language, uh, the area, that what is the you have seen in some films that this is my area, you can't do anything here. So the scope of this function, or you can
Okay.
say area of this function, is inside this curly brackets.
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay, so I have declared one function as test. Now, what is this static? What is this void? What is public? It will be clear to you as we proceed. Okay, so my test is the name of my function. Okay, so if I say console dot write line and I say in main function, and if I say console dot write line and I say in test function. Now, if I run my code, so what will happen is it will print both of the lines or not.
It will not print, sir, because it in main method this function is not the what do we call, it is not described.
Suppose now we will see. Now if I run, okay,
Only main method will print, I think.
okay, first I have to make uh, this as my startup class. Whenever you make the startup class, whenever you make this change the, then always close this. Okay, now if I execute my code, now it is saying in main function, but it will not print in test function.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so one thing more, that functions are declared inside the class body. This is the, can say, class body, and functions are declared inside the class body and they should be parallel. Functions are declared inside the class body and function should be parallel like this. This is function and this is parallel to this function. If I want to create one more function, I cannot create function inside another function. Okay. Now, suppose if I want to make one more function, it may be public static void, and suppose if I say print name, and okay, so functions are declared parallelly to each other. And if I say and say in print name function. Okay. And suppose if I want to call this function, so I can call it here and say test. Okay. Now if I execute my code, oh, sorry,
Semicolon.
yeah, if I execute my code, you see it will print in main function, then it will print in test function, but it will not print in print name function. So I have to call it in main function. Function cannot be called by themselves. It has to be called in another function. Okay. Now suppose if I want to call print name function and I don't want to call it in main function, so how can I do that?
Uh, Sorry, sir. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, if I want to call my print name function and
So,
I don't want to call it in my main function.
then, so we can't print like that, right? We need to
Yeah,
call that function
yeah,
in main
but
function.
my motive is that I don't want to call in my main function.
Okay. So then you can write that the sentence in that function console.
In which line would I write?
Their console dot write line
Where I want to
under the
call
main. Okay.
but I don't want to call it in main function. My question is that I don't want
Okay.
to call it
Okay.
in main function.
Okay. Uh, then I don't know. So
Yeah, uh, don't worry. Uh, in first line when I yeah, started the topic functions and I say functions are declared inside the class body, they should be parallel and they cannot be called by themselves. Here I
mm,
am calling my test function in main function, and I already told you that function has to be called by some another function. Now I have called this test function, and inside this test function I can call print name function as well.
okay. Okay. So
Okay, now you see in print name function.
okay. Yes. So
Okay, so function is called by another function.
mm,
So this way my motive is solved, that I don't want to be called in this main function and I have called it in another function. And this function is called in main function. So it will
yes.
automatically call this function.
Okay.
Okay. Now suppose in my print name function, I say I will string and say string x. Okay. Now you see that when I pass and write something like this and say here, oh, now it is not giving any error now, but I passed my string variable, then it will give me an error. Okay,
Yes. So,
suppose here if I told x and I will pass this, now it will give me an error.
yes. So,
Okay, so what will I do? I will you can say string value equal to, you can say selenium, and pass this value in my test function. Okay, and I can plus y, so plus x. Now, if I execute my code, you will see in text function Selenium. Okay, so I pass the value here and print it over here. So if I have to pass the value in my function, then I have to pass value here. And if I passing string, then it should be in string. I can't pass int a equal to 100 and I can't pass a. No, you see it will give an error. Cannot convert from int to string. So you should be very careful if you're declaring the variable as string, then you have to pass value as string. Suppose if I say int x, then it will give an error because cannot convert from string to int. So I have to pass an integer value. So whatever I am
Mhm.
declaring in the function, I should pass that data
That
type only.
yes, so
Okay, so you should be very careful that if you are using, and I can pass multiple values. Suppose I say int x, then string y, and here I can say a comma value. See, I can pass as much values as I can, and I will say plus y. Okay, and one thing to be more specific that if I'm passing the first place as integer, then I should pass my first variable as integer only. I cannot pass value comma a. It will give an error because in the first it is integer, then second place it is string. So I have to be very careful that I should pass first value as integer and second value as in string. I can pass as much value as I want. Okay. Now if I execute my code, you will see that function in text function, then x, which is integer, it's 100, then it is selenium. Now function 100 selenium. Okay,
yes.
you can pass as much variables as you want in the function. Suppose here I'm passing int a equal to 100, then int b equal to 200, and I will again pass integer z, and here I will pass a b. Okay, and I will say console dot write line. I say uh, sum is uh, x plus z. Now, what will it print?
Right. Okay. 100 selenium, 200.
If I'm passing int x and int z, I'm adding the two.
Yes, so.
So what will it print?
So
It
first
will,
it will print this x and y value
suppose if I
of
comment this one,
selenium. Yeah.
then what will x is now x here is that I think so 100 and b which is 200. It's in the passing z. then 100 plus 200 is 300. It will print 300 or not?
It will print, sir.
Okay,
600, yeah.
okay, let us look at that. It is printing sum is 100, 200.
Mhm.
Why is that?
Because
When
string is in between.
you see, so here, this is a string. It is concurring with first with integer, then this both act as a string, which we have studied here. When a plus b x plus y,
Mm.
it acts as a string, then plus a, then they both act as a string. Remember? So for adding this, I can
So your voice
add.
is breaking.
Okay, now I'm audible.
So
Hello,
your voice is breaking.
voice is breaking.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm audible.
Yes, sir, now you're
Yeah,
audible.
yeah. So you have to be very careful when you're working with strings and brackets and integers. So now I have put one more extra bracket. Okay. Now you see, now it is printing sum is 300.
Okay, yes, sir.
Okay, which we have studied here,
Mm.
like x plus y, then in another bracket a plus b in another bracket. So you have to be very careful when you're working with the brackets and strings and integer values. Okay,
Yes, sir.
you can call function as many times as you want. Suppose if I want to call this again, this test function, and I know the first is integer, so I will say 250 comma, then there is string value, I will say test, then there is an integer value, I will say 450, and this. And again, if I execute my code again, you see it is printing sum is 300, then sum is 700. In between, it is printing in print name function. Why? Because when I calling the text function, it is again calling the print name function. First, it will solve my value, then it will call the print name function. The number of
Okay.
times I call the text function, the number of time it calls its print name function.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so number of arguments you have specified in the function, number of arguments. This is arguments. 1, 2, 3. So there are three arguments there. So I have to pass three values. Okay. And the order of that argument has to be same as this is integer, this is string, then it is again an integer. Okay. So
Yes.
number of arguments you have specified in the function has to be same when you call the function. Okay. You have to pass argument to the function exactly same as data type. That is, if it is declared as int, then you have to pass int value. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, suppose there is one variable. You know what is local variable and what is global variable.
Yes, sir. Global variable, it can be accessed by any other functions, all the functions in
So
class.
where should I suppose I want
It
to
is declared.
access. Yeah, I want to access the same variable here in this and same variable here in this line. So where should I declare my global variable?
Uh, so inside main function.
So you're getting you're declaring suppose if I some variable maybe integer,
Or we can declare in class
you are saying that
before
in
the
suppose I'm
class.
declaring in my main function, suppose int d equal to 350. Okay, now I want to use this variable d in my this. Suppose if I say x plus d. Now the name does d does not exist in the current context because scope of this variable is inside these brackets only.
Okay, okay, so
Okay, so I cannot access this d variable in here.
mm,
Okay, so if I want to access d globally, I can declare it as static uh, int d equal to 350. Now see, it is giving no error. If I, you can see, you can go to this by pressing Control and click on D. It will take me to where it is declared.
yes, sir.
Okay. Suppose now when in the coming classes, when you code, when you do the coding, you have so many functions like 20 function, 25 functions, and your page is full of functions. Now suppose if I want to go to my test function, and test function is, suppose you can say there are so many functions that it is being, I cannot see it visually. So how can I go to that function? Just press the control, left control, and click on test. It will automatically take to my function.
Okay,
Okay.
yes, sir.
This is a small thing, but this is a very good things that you can remember. By
Mhm.
pressing the left control and click on any function, it will take me to that function.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now uh, we will see that what is this static, what is this void, what is this, why I'm declaring this as static. Can you tell
Mm.
me?
Because it can be accessed only in the class. Is it that?
Suppose if I declare it as such, now you see it is giving me error.
Yes, sir.
Why?
Mm,
Because my function is static and static function can access only static variables.
variables. Okay, okay.
This is a very good interview question. The interview can ask you, if I declare the variable as non-static, how can you declare the variable as non-static? By removing the keyword static. So can static function access my non-static variable? The answer is no.
Okay, yes, sir.
I'm again writing that static function, we can say static variables can only be accessed by static function. And how to make static function? By introducing the keyword static. Suppose if I, then it will give me an error for not method property function. So I have to make my function as static.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. We will discuss it more by tomorrow. Just uh, you have watched the recording of the previous class, class one.
Mm. Yes, sir.
Okay, now our first three classes are on YouTube. After that, when you enroll for the batch, you will see that you can watch the batch recording here. Okay,
Okay. Yes, sir.
okay, okay. Then we will meet tomorrow at the same time. And please, when you watch the video, again, I'm telling, please remember the key points and write down the key points there in your
Okay.
sheet, in your notepad, somewhere else you want. But just write down the important keywords. It will help you when you go for the interview.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sure. Sir.
Okay, then we will meet tomorrow at the same time.
Mm.
Okay,
Okay, sir.
okay, bye. Bye. Saham.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Okay, bye.